use the right camera. Oh, wrong way. I think I'm live. Doing it? I think we are. All right. Welcome, everybody. Whoever's there, whoever sees this later. Get things organized here. All right, today's jam session, I got an idea. I got a big idea. Always a big idea. We've done different scales, and I've jammed a little bit, done some call and answer in the past few different keys that I focus on for the day, for the week. And today is going to be no different, but I'm going to, instead of cutting at halfway point and doing something more advanced, I'm going to kind of morph into that. And if you're along for the ride, you can learn from the whole mess. Now, I had in my head an earworm today stuck in there. Johnny Cash song, I Walk the Line. You probably heard it, right? I walk the line. All right, so we've all heard that, probably. 3 chords, as 90% of all music in any style, classical or country or heavy metal, it's a lot of times just 3 chords underneath. It's the most part of music, and this song is no different. So we're doing it in the key of D today. So to jam over it, you'd first need D major. All right, so D major. If a month of lessons, you probably learned D major scale. Open one. Let me get this chair a little higher, maybe just as high as it goes. Tip the camera down. So open 1, 2, 3 on your D string. Open 1, 2, 3 on the A string. That's one of the easy zones, is the term I coined in the Fiddle Jam book. So it's the same fingering on 2 strings right next to each other. It's a no-brainer for sure, right? So practice, when you practice messing around with it, all right? Do your best. Just wander around your house or out in your yard, messing around with the scale until it gets to be a no-brainer. Any order of the notes, anything you think sounds good is fine, because that's what improvisation is, really, anything that you think sounds good. But now, let's feed your brain with some licks and tricks on D major, which is pretty a boring scale, right? We'll get into the theory a bit later if I can, if I have time for it. A little bit of the musical explanation. But right now, I'll put on a track. I got a track here. Can you hear it? Let's see. You can probably hear that. No country music. D. You do that. It's pretty long. A note. D. F sharp. Do your best. F and A's. Okay, now mostly I was doing D major pentatonic. If you notice, I didn't really hit any G's or C sharps there, all right? D major pentatonic. If you leave those 2 notes out, you're kind of in the club. It's the country equivalent of the blues scale, all right? And you notice I slid the F sharp a little bit. Dang, dang, that's cool to do too. So I skipped the G, no G, A, B, no C sharp. So skipping the 4th note and the 7th note makes you hipper right away, a little more countrified. Now, this background was just the D chord over and over and over and over, right? So that's one thing to practice D major, but what happens when the song is actually happening? The chords are moving around. Can you use that same scale? Well, you can. It's a little bit bangy and clangy. Let me get the track actually going on here. I had prepared it a little bit. I like that. I'm proud of myself. Maybe you're proud of me too. And just everything off the cuff. Actually, had a little preparation today. So I'm using Band in a Box right now. It's a software program that creates tracks easily. It has real instruments that it assembles for you. You just type in the chords and tell I want it to be country music in this tempo, and it plays it. So now the weird thing about the Johnny Cash song that we're talking about is it starts on the 5th chord. 5 chord, if you know anything about this, and the 1. Then it goes to the 4th chord. Can you hear that? And back to the 1. And to the 5 again. And it ends on the 1. Little ending there. Okay, now, so what is all that stuff about? That's music speak. That's the number system. So in the key of D, D is the first note. Obviously, it's called the key of D. And also the D chord would be called the first chord in the key of D. All right? D, E, F sharp, G. G is the 4th chord in the key of D. Make sense? And A is the 5th note and the 5th chord in the key of D. All right? So you'll see musicians do hand signals like this. All right? Often on stage. And they'll hit people if they're just sitting in and jamming. And you'll get to know these chords and be able to follow them. Now I can call them out to you right now. So does it fit over an A chord? A. Not terrible, a little weird, but it D. It fits perfect to the D chord, right? A. It has an A in it, it's got some other notes that kind of fit. How about the G chord? G. A little weird, I don't have a pedal to make the chords here. I can play with my toes. It's a little strange for the, but what happens in improvisation is if the notes you're playing don't exactly fit the chord you're on, but they're related to the overall key, they will release. They'll create tension and they'll release, just like weather patterns, high pressure, low pressure, that kind of thing. I heard some thunder rumbling here. Hope we don't get too bad of a storm. So even if it bangs and clashes a little bit against it, it's still cool because it will release, because every other chord in this song is the D chord. So if it's playing an A chord and you're doing D major pentatonic, it's okay, but it's going to come to D. It's going to create a little tension and release it. That's what it's all about too. So without overthinking it, you can be countrified a little bit. Just keep moving around, and if I don't like that note so much, move to the next one, and you're likely to have a note that'll fit in the scale a little more, the chord a little more. So let's try this again. Let me get back to the beginning. Mess around with it. Nothing but D major pentatonic to this track. What do you think of that? Didn't sound half bad. A little clanky over the A, a little weird over the G maybe, but it fits perfectly on the D, of course, and it created tension and released it. Let's try one more time. There it is. Anything you want. There you have it. Were you jamming along? What do you think? That's one approach. It's like this, the easy level 1 approach. Not maybe the greatest in every chord, but it gets you going. So what if we put the blues scale in there? I've called the blues scale the Get Away with Murder scale, right? So that is a little more raucous sounding. Let's check it out. If you know the D blues scale, it's open, low, 2, 3. Next string, open, low, 2, 3. No first finger. Open, low 2, that's F and G, A, C, D. Mess around with that for a second. Officially, it's actually called the blues scale when you put the low 4 A flat on the D string. It's even a sassier note. Put the A in there too. Now what would happen if you put that over every chord? Now the blues does that. Put that same scale. So let's try that, see if we like it better. Now maybe it'll sound less country, a little more bluesy, and maybe we can mix the two approaches together later. Let's get back to the beginning. There we go. What do you think of that? Uh-oh, it's starting to rain. Here we go. Anyways, sounds a little clashy and bangy more than you'd like on something. It starts to sound all the same, doesn't it? Sounds a little bit the same to me. It might have sounded all the same to you, but it's not terrible. It's in a way, it's in the league of the major pentatonic over the whole mess too. It creates some tension, and then it releases it. Creates some tension, and then it releases it. What would happen if we mixed the two together? What if you did major pentatonic over the A chords, the G chords, and did blues on the D? Let's try that. I'll call it out. D major pentatonic or D blues? Major. Blues. Major. Blues. Major. Blues. Major. So, do you like that? I didn't like that. Let's try it the other way around. Let's try it blues, then major. Ready? Blues. Major. Blues. Major. Blues. Major. Blues. Major. I like that better. How about you? I like that better. It's on the clanky chords where you're putting D stuff over another chord, you're forcing it. It sounds like you're forcing it on purpose because it sounds hip to the blues, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, major on the major chord, on the one chord. So these are different approaches you can take to a song like this. Now, is this the approach I take? And the answer to that is not really. This is where it's morphing into more advanced stuff. We already mentioned the 1, the 4, and the 5 chords. I will dip into the blues mostly at the end of the phrase, end of the song there. It goes over and over and over, this pattern. I'll put it at the end for punctuation and maybe throw it in for a little spice here and there. But what I do personally is I follow each chord and put a scale on each chord. So on the A chord, I would put A major pentatonic. On the D chord, I would put D major pentatonic, or D blues if I feel like it. On the G chord, I would put G major pentatonic. So let's check these out. A would be the same fingering as you did on D, except moved over one set of strings. So A, B, C sharp, E, F sharp. Open 1, 3, open 1, 2, open 1, 3. Mess around with that for a second. Sorry, a little out of tune with the track. G, let's try G. Same fingering, starting on a G string. Open 1, 2, D string, open 1, 3. And D, of course. Now we have 3 scales for 3 chords. Now you're going, oh boy, can I actually jam this and actually hear the chords at the same time, listen to the band and my ideas in my head? Yes, you can. It's a little trickier, it takes a little more practice, but you can. It just takes a little dedication to that and a little relaxation more than anything. You've got to practice enough so you don't have to think too hard about your thing and be able to at least halfway, listen to the band, listen to the track. That said, though, I can improvise without a track to this, change scales, and you can actually hear the chords going on, moving. Check it out. I'll call them out. A, D, A, D, G, D, A. D at the end with the D blues. See how the blues adds a little spice at the end? Isn't that cool? So you could hear it. Now let's try it with the track. I'll call them out to help you out if you're new to this. It starts on the A chord, which is unusual. It starts on the 5 chord, this song. Not very many chords. Most chords start in the 1 chord, or at least they end in the 1 chord. This one does. But it starts on the 5 chord. I think it's about queued up right there. So you ready to play? A, here we go. A, D, A, D, G, here comes. D, A, D, again, A, D, A, D, G, D, A, D, A, D, A, D, G, D, A, D blues. See how I put the D blues at the end? That's a trick you can steal. So, how'd it go? Now it's a little fast, I know. I'll post this on the site eventually here, this little lesson. I hope that gives you an idea. So do I actually follow the changes? Yes, I do. Do you have to? No, you don't. Now here comes the rain. It's going to start pouring and making this hard for you to hear me. So check the website out. I'm glad to be on here doing stuff with you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Remember, you can do major pentatonic over the whole mess in a song that's all the chords are from D. You can do minor pentatonic or blues scale over the whole mess if you want, and clash and bang your way through it. You can do combinations of the two, or you can try to change scales to match the chords. That's the way I do it. I throw in other tricks. You can do private lessons with me if you want to learn more details about this, or go to the site and become a member if you're not a member. You can do all access pass and these kind of lessons. There's a couple hundred lessons on the site. Feel free. I think that sale is still up in the store about the Fiddle Jam 101 course in the school store at fiddlejaminstitute.com. Check it out. There's a discount for members, discount for free members too. If you're a member of the free Fiddle Jam Club on our newsletter list, you'll get a dozen lessons for free on the site and in a special area, and you'll also get some sneak peeks at other lessons. So join up, check it out, leave comments, ask me questions. I'm happy to help people jam more and be more creative and get past just having to play from the page. I want people to play from the heart out. It's a real thrill. It's a joy for me. Doesn't mean you can't play songs, but it means you should be able to jam those songs and make up your own songs and make up parts and play in a tune with a band whether you know the song or not. That's the goal. Be free. Fiddle Jam Freedom Formula, I'm calling this. Be free to pick up your fiddle and just play. All right, that's the goal. And you got to know some stuff to fit into different situations, but it's not rocket science. It's not a lot of stuff. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. All right? I've taught thousands of people to do it. So can you. So again, questions, give me a shout out, and I'll be glad to answer them the best I can. And I'll be posting this eventually on the site for members. So if you have inclination, I'll see you then. How do you end this thing again? Can't remember.